interested. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, and that kind of stuff. But at some point, it is like it starts to make sense.
So we are streaming on YouTube now, just so everyone's aware. And hello to everyone I haven't said hi to yet. We got Maria, Nate, Carmen, Megan, Ian, Glenn, Margaret. Welcome, everybody.
Give me 1 second. I have this. The meeting has been live streamed and it says leave the meeting or got it. And I can't.
Got it.
Yeah, and I know, but I can't get my cursor on top of it. So hold on for a second.
Oh, technology. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Linda. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Hello, Jack. Now my dog wants to come in. She can come in.
Is it right here? Mhm. Right there. Sorry. Does it come there? Is it- I have to ask my technologist here to see if she can get rid of it.
Hi, Lisa.
Hold on a minute.
And Dinesh. Jack. Hello, everyone.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, move the slide. Move the slide.
Hi, Kurt.
Bring the cursor back again. No, it's not button.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a couple of announcements. We do have for those of you who are local, I understand that not everybody is, but if you're local, we do have a Garden and Grounds Day coming up on Saturday, the 29th, and that's to beautify the grounds at Kadampa Center. All are welcome. That's going to start at 9 and it's booked to go until about noonish or 1. And we get a pizza lunch provided to us. So that's exciting. And next weekend, so the 23rd, Sunday, the 23rd, we are not having class on that Sunday because Geshe-la wants as many people as possible to go, who are able to go to Boone for the Vajrayogini fire puja. So the center will be closed so that all of us who volunteer on Sundays can have the ability to go. And then the big news, I think I mentioned it last week, is Venerable Rabina will be coming and teaching May 17th, which is a Wednesday, and teach Wednesday and Thursday on Mahamudra, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a weekend workshop about, very timely, how to face death without fear. And that will be in person as well as online. So for those of you who are not local, please mark your calendars. All right, Heyman, I'm showing it's what, 7:02 or 03. So whenever
Yes.
you're ready. we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, guys, we all know the routine. So let's start with the prostration, at least mental prostrations. And if you're able to do the full prostration, that's wonderful, but let's start with that. Thank you. Okay, let's bring our minds here. We'll just do a quick meditation on breath, and we'll set our motivation for the class, okay? So you're keeping your back straight again, legs are crossed, or if you're seated in a chair, make sure your feet are flat, your arms are relaxed, your underarms, and your hands, right hand on top of the left hand, and the thumbs are touching. Your jaw and mouth is relaxed. Your tongue is on the top palate behind the teeth, and your eyes are slightly open, or you may close it, but don't fall asleep. And just focus on your breath. Okay, so you take your breath in and out, right? So either by the nostril or when your stomach goes out as you inhale or exhale, and just focus on it. And then keep your mind on it, just on your breath. And as you are concentrating, your mind may wander a little bit, and you may start to think other things. It's okay, just acknowledge it, and just bring it back to your breath. It helps with concentration. It also helps calming oneself down. So let's do that for a minute. Again, do not attach your mind to the thoughts that come across. Just observe and gently bring your mind back to your breath. So let's set the motivation. Allow yourself to be completely present for this time, this session, and recognizing that usually our lives are filled with busy activities, simply concerned with survival or the short-term comfort and happiness for this life. Of the 24 hours, usually a third of the time is spent working, a third of the time is spent sleeping, and the remaining time is usually spent during things like shopping for supplies, food, clothing, preparing for eating, cleaning up after the food, washing, and various other activities. Then top that with social engagement, movies, magazines, and so forth. The percentage of our entire life that we actually spend in spiritual practice, making concerted effort, is very, very small. Yet, we have great wishes for what we'd like to accomplish. Make the determination that since the time that I spend in my spiritual life is very small and usually somewhat distracted, I'll make my best effort to listen carefully and to try to put them into practice to best of my ability. Why? Because I want to experience happiness and not suffering. I have some suspicion that there is a greater happiness available, a longer lasting happiness that I could attain. I have some suspicion that I could develop a greater wisdom, greater compassion, greater ability to help others. And if I check up in my heart, that's what I wish to do. I'm tired of seeing war, the environment degrade, people becoming worn out, old and sick. So the Buddha's claim is that he found another way. He identified suffering, he identified its causes, he achieved the end of the suffering, and then he revealed the path. I wish to follow that same path, attain the same state, and then reveal that method to others. So invite to this place our teachers and guides of this life, those who are carrying the lineage of the precious teachings to this present day. Ask them to abide with us, bless our minds for the time as we listen to these teachings on behalf of all living beings. Okay, so bring your attention back to the class. Again, this is the third of the 6 classes. Today is the 17th. So we'll have one on 24th, one on May 1st, and then on the 8th. And we are keeping the timing pretty nice. The flow is going so far, so good. Today is a little dense subject we'll be covering. We'll go through that in a minute. Just in case if I don't get to it, I want to be mindful of your time. I don't want to just push this. We have sufficient time to finish everything that we need to complete in the 3 scopes. All right. So let's align everything. We were just talking that sometimes you start reading and you focus on a topic, but then you can't figure out where does this belong. And there's so much of that stuff, right? 3 of this and a 16 of that, and you dive into it, and then you got to snap out and look at the large picture. So just let's keep in alignment that remember, this is the module on presenting the path, a graduated path, step by step, right? So Lama Atisha was very kind. He took 84,000 teachings and he put it in some sort of a nice organized way. And that's what we are trying to follow. And then Lama Tsongkhapa got into the depth of it. And that's what we are following. And it's presented to us how lucky we are that we are able to see this in a nice, concise, and a beautifully organized way, right? So that's the point. So we started by just getting the background. We talked about the analogies, about how one should listen. We talked about the 3 parts. You want to not be a part that's upside down. You don't want to have a part with that hole in it. The part that's dirty. It's the same thing as our mind, basically. It's the analogy of our mind. You want to come here with open mind, listen to it, contemplate on it, and then analyze it. Okay? Nobody's saying this is do it or else, right? This is not about that. This is about purely trying to understand what Buddha had experienced and he's teaching us. So that's why we have the graduated path and why we need it. It's very similar. We are very familiar with going to kindergarten, junior school, and college and university. We understand that. But when it comes to spiritual teachings, we get a little esoteric, right? We get all blah, blah, right? Up there somewhere. So it's just a nice way. And the fact that we have our lineage teachers. So we summarized the life of the Buddha in the thought that it all comes from Buddha. We talked a brief story of Buddha. We talked about Lama Atisha and how he wrote the Lamp of the Path. Then how Lama Tsongkhapa took that. He was a great scholar and a meditator. And he put the entire Lamrim stages of the path together, the 3 big volumes that I shared with you. And then we went through some definitions, qualities of Buddhas. Of course, I'll walk through it again one more time. We keep on forgetting that when we get into something like this, we talk about suffering. But the whole point is that we are looking to become Buddha. That's happiness, right? So I kind of compare that to going on a diet. You have to first look at the mirror and say, yes, I need to go on a diet. So that's the suffering part. But the goal is you can visualize yourself when you are what you need to be. Similar to that, it's very important that we understand the qualities of the Buddha. And then, of course, I'll share with you the three scopes, the basic foundation, that things that drive the entire path, and then death and impermanence we covered. So we'll go through this. This is first of the definitions we went through. There's two types, right? Nirvana is liberation. So when you look at a lot of the Thervedans, they'll go say, I'm achieving nirvana, which is wonderful. It is a huge step. You have realized emptiness, but it is driven for self-liberation. There are still, they say at the end, before reaching the last stages, they still have some habits or tendencies left behind, just out of eons of practicing it. But when we talk about enlightenment, it is fully awakening of Buddhahood, omniscience, the ultimate goal, attained with all obscurations have been removed. And it's again characterized with compassion, wisdom, and power. That is the Buddhahood. So when you hear those words, nirvana, wonderful, this chatter has to leave. You need to understand the way reality is, and ultimate goal is enlightenment. What keeps us in this world? Samsara. This is the beginningless, reoccurring cycle of death and rebirth under the control of delusion and karma, and causes us all kind of dissatisfaction in life. Not to say that we don't have moments of happiness, but we know that we have to die. Birth is sometimes painful. We do get sick. We have to work very hard. Right? It comes with all kinds of things. And as you age, you get sick. And so that's samsara. And then we talk about what is the root of the samsara. Okay? And this is what they call ignorance is the root of samsara. We carry this exaggerated view of I in us. And this entire practice is working to show you how reality is, internal and external, how things exist. And then once we fall into that little whirlpool of I, then the clinging and the grasping and the attachment, and when the ego doesn't get what it wants, it gets angry. It's happy when it gets what it wants. It gets mad when it doesn't get what it wants. So then the desire, right? So all of these things is very cyclical. And that's what we do. We jump from temporary happiness to temporary happiness to temporary happiness. And that causes the samsara. That's the root of samsara. So ignorance. And the three poisons they talk about are the ignorance, attachment, and aversion, which is a subtle way of saying anger. Okay, so just some definitions there. Okay, here's the qualities of the Buddha. A fully developed person in the wisdom wing. So remember the two wings. When you do the three scopes, the first two scopes, when you finish that and you understand some of the emptiness, you've realized you can completely clear the chatter. From your mind, you see things the way they exist, you are in the wisdom wing. And the third scope is talking about compassion, equanimity, right? How we function as a person. You are in a form right now. So how do you function daily? Those are in the compassion side of the world. So we call it the two wings of the bird. So just think, wisdom that knows exactly what and how, where and what, and who, with the capacity to do what needs to be done to perfectly benefit all knowing, all compassionate, all wise, all pervading. That is the Buddhahood. That's what we are striving for. We are putting in the resume right now. That's what we want. Okay. So when we talk about compassion, when we talk about bodhicitta, in short, it's the mind that wants to benefit others, right? But in order to benefit others, first you must take care of yourself. You want to be enlightened to benefit others. But you can also simultaneously be at least generous, kind, have patience, and so forth. You function that way. So that's bodhicitta, principal consciousness that combines the two factors of wishing to free all beings from suffering and of wishing to attain enlightenment in order to achieve that. It's a spontaneous or altruistic mind to help others. And then we were just talking about the five aggregates, right? This is what we're made up of, basically. It's a mental and physical constituents that make up a sentient being. The form that we have, feelings, discriminative mind, right? Discriminative awareness, and compositional factors. There are 51 mental factors. So all those things about conceit, then prejudices, and all these other things that happen in our mind, those fall under the compositional factors. Those are all mental aggregates. So, and then lastly, consciousness, the mind itself. That's what makes us a sentient being. Okay. I'm introducing a new one today called Dharma. We talk about Dharma bags and we go for Dharma and I'm doing my Dharma practice. What is Dharma? So when you look at the refuge, or when you talk about the three gems, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and you take a refuge, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly or Sangha, so that I may become Buddha to benefit others, right? We say that all the time. So Dharma is the second piece. So Dharma is the second refuge jewel, literally that which is established, but it is translated sometimes or etymologized, that which holds or protects us from suffering. Hence brings us happiness and leads us towards the liberation and enlightenment. Okay? And when you have realizations as you are progressing in your practices, that's called absolute Dharma. But when you're reading the books, when you're reading the teachings, that's conventional Dharma. So you need conventional Dharma to then recognize your absolute Dharma. So then we talk about creating merits. What is a merit? Right? They say, help out in the Kadampa center, generate some merit. Do something good, you generate merit. So these are positive imprints. Isn't this whole practice about positive mind? For eons, we've been taking birth moment to moment, having all kinds of delusions in our mind, right? Hatred and anger and confusion and depression and so forth. And the whole idea of this path is what? Not knowing 16 of that and 17 of that, but changing your mind. We will see today in class today, positive mind equals happiness. Negative states of mind, suffering. So merit is a positive imprint left on your mind by virtuous or Dharma actions, a principal cause of happiness. Okay? Again, we set the foundation that the nature of the mind, it is not physical, it is beginningless, right? It is yours, right? And it is not the brain. It is a stream of mental moments, and all experiences, internal and external, are part of your mind. That's your experience. You are the creator. Nobody out there is doing that. You are making it happen. So if you want a positive states of mind, happiness, then the path is showing you how you do that and what's causing the suffering. So that's the nature of the mind. We talked about this need for a spiritual teacher. This is a tough one for a lot of people because we've had some bad experiences. We come with filters on, but it is necessary. Your parents taught you how to walk, how to do few things, not to touch the fire. We've had teachers in our life teaching you so many things. And so is in Dharma. But also, you need to check your teacher out. Nobody's saying be blindfolded because somebody said so. You can check their peers, their qualities, what they follow, what they teach. I mean, you check them out just like anything else. And once you have confidence, then you develop this relationship with a teacher who will guide you. And then you can see that teaching is a lineage guru who is practicing guru. Even their students are teachers today in today's world. So you know the quality of the teacher. And once you have that trust, then you develop that relationship and it will only guide you in a proper fashion. And then we really jumped into the precious human rebirth, right? This is really the beginning of it. So this is one of the most important pieces. You have this opportunity. You've taken a birth as a human being, not an animal, not in the ghost realms, in a human. You have a human rebirth. Why is it precious? Because here's your opportunity to change your course. That's the whole point. We can talk about the endowments, 10 richnesses, and eight freedoms, and all that. But it is the truth. You are born as a human. You have at least sound mind, body, and health. You can even have the richnesses that you have the dharma available to you to practice. You have friend circle and the Sangha members to be able to help you. And so you can take advantage of this time to change your mind for your future rebirth and happiness as you're doing it. So you can check yourself out. If you're starting now, a year from now, you can always check and think, has anything helped me? If you find yourself kinder, gentler, compassionate human being, more mindful, then you've taken a big step. So that's the point of this precious human rebirth. Okay, so we talked about this. I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Stop me if you don't follow something. But again, we kind of just talked about it. And once you find the teacher, then if you know that the teacher is teaching you the Dharma, what Buddha has given us, then you can see that teacher as a live Buddha in essence. It's amazing to have that relationship with the teacher to give you some guidance. Yeah, and this is a wonderful, again, just following up on the precious human rebirth. And so we move forward. So this is a beautiful slide that gives you, again, a little composite picture of nature of the mind, necessity for a teacher, and the precious human rebirth. The idea is, let's not waste it. And then the first scope, I call it the primer. It primes you up to practice. Okay, so we talked about death and impermanence, right? And the 3 points to remember: it is definite and natural. Time of the death is uncertain, and the time of the death is extremely important. So when you're dying, what are you going to rely on? Is your only mind. You probably in a certain state of mind, you're not going to be socializing then, right? You are at the last stages. Your identification is what is in your mind. So if you have some positive seeds in your mind, you will rely on that. And that's what is going to go forward. So we need to train and prepare now while we are sane and walking and healthy so that we can prepare. Let's not deny the fact that we will die. It is simply the process. Your mind will continue. It was there before. Even this thought right now you have came from a previous thought, which came from a previous thought, and it goes all the way, beginningless, and will continue that way. So the whole idea of this path is to change our mind to the positive state of mind so it can bring happiness. And we covered the gross and the subtle consciousnesses, the process of the death, and then how you go to Bardo, this intermediate stage, and then your mind feels it needs to take birth, it's propelled to do that, and it finds another body, right? And it goes into that, and it takes birth. So remember, you created yourself, nobody out there did. And then again, it primes you to say it's a state of mind. If you go with a bad state of mind, let's look around. At least we know human realm and we know animal realm. I don't know much about desire realm and demigod realm. This is not somewhere you buy a ticket and fly to. Okay? It is a dimension, state of mind. So think about, you don't want to be in desire realm where it's laziness, long life. You don't have time to think of dharma or practice or go towards Buddhahood. Demigod realms, they're always fighting asuras, they call it in Sanskrit. They're always arguing, fighting. They want somebody else's property type thing. Human realm, in human realm, though you have some suffering, you are still in a state where you can practice. So it's probably more desireful to be in a human realm. You don't want to be in animal realm. You can see, if you look any of those wildlife shows, and you see how one is prying on the other. Ghost realm and hell realms are also a lot of suffering. And you know, even if you don't believe in any dimension, just go to some places where there's famine and they don't have water. It's a heck of a state to live in. So those are rebirths. So we say, okay, my goodness, I am ready. I want to follow this path. I need a doctor. I'm sick. I need a physician. So who do we go to? We go to refuge. All it is reliance. And more than that, it is a commitment in your own mind that, yes, I really need to do this. I need to follow this path. I want to change my mind. So that's what we rely on Buddha. So we would call him like a doctor. Dharma is a medicine, his teachings. So we rely on his teachings. We are doing that right now. And then we rely on our community, our geishalas, our geishas, our nuns, and so many others, right? To help and support the practice. And refuges are wonderful. You take a little lay vows. You don't have to take all of them. But basically, you shall not kill, you shall not steal, you shall not gossip, that kind of stuff. And you shall not take intoxicants. And then the other one is, I think, no sexual misconduct. Some people take some of them, some don't take all of them. That's all about you. But it's a commitment in your mind. And they say, once you take refuge, even if you were to do, if a lay person who has not taken a refuge does a kind thing, that's very positive. But a person with a refuge does a kind thing, it has a lot more power because your mind, it has a committed, it's always thinking. It's always in that state of mind. Before you heard something, your mind is saying, no, I can't do that. I shouldn't be doing that. So your mind is much stronger geared towards that compassion, I shall not kill. So they said that commitments are very powerful that way. Just think about mundane commitments you have. You have an exam coming up, or you have to buy something or do something, how focused we get and how excited we get, and you get it done. And you feel good when you get it done, right? It's like, done. Like taxes today, right? Last day today, done. File them. Same thing, commitment towards dharma. So that's refuge for you. So now that gives you a good idea. You're linking everything without going into too much of the details, at least looking at it, precious human rebirth, death and impermanence, suffering and rebirths, and refuge. We completed that. Today, we're going to start talking about laws of karma. Next class, depending on how we finish or not finish, we'll pick up on the middle scope next time with the Four Noble Truths, causes of suffering, and the things, 12 links is something that keeps us coming back again and again and again. And then we'll reach probably the 5th and the 6th class, we'll talk about the great scopes. Okay, so at least it gives you a perspective, it gives you a little alignment of where we are in the path and what topics did we cover. Today's topic, we'll start with abiding in laws of karma, quotes by Master Nagarjuna, how the karma ripens and so forth, and how it works, and how should we purify. Okay? So what does karma mean? It literally means action, and you can add the word reaction. Okay? So it's action. So cause and effect. Right? And naturally, positive or virtuous states of actions or mind produces happiness, and negative states of mind, actions produces suffering. It is not the instant karma we see on the TV sometimes. You do something bad and something bad happens to you, say, aha, karma. This is many lives, future lives. Though that may have some facts in it, this is future lives, over lifetimes. Okay? So this is where we start. So this is all about sowing the seeds. From moment to moment, we are sowing seeds of our future experience, right? So we are the creators, as I've already said, and nobody made us. That's very important to know. So it's a natural law. Why? And I'll tell you before we even start, this is where the real practice begins. This is, so far, we had a primer. In an urgency, why we need to practice death and impermanence, the type of births we take. This is a precious human rebirth. Let's take advantage. So they were primers. Now we're doing something. Now you're going to get active with this in your mind. Remember, the whole goal in this entire practice is what? Our mind. It starts here. We're going to change it to find we're going to be happy. Our mind has the potential to become Buddha. We're going to liberate. That's the goal. So we start with the natural law. So when we talk about natural law, for example, let's take an example of Newton. Did he create gravity? No, he did not create gravity. He observed it. He looked into it. Maybe he experimented with it. And then he say, this is a law. This is how gravity works. He did not create gravity. Karma is like that. Buddha would say, it is a natural law. It's very organic. Okay? I'm going to make sure I look at my notes. So it's all about transforming ourselves. So then, and nothing is random, and we'll talk about a couple other things here. So let's take a look at what Nagarjuna said. So all actions of body, speech, and mind are created with the attitude of greed, hatred, and ignorance lead to suffering. So from all actions created with the opposite attitude of love, compassion, and wisdom, only happiness comes. Okay? So just something to keep in mind. Constantly think of that. Okay, so non-virtuous action. So I have a teaching from Venerable Robina that I took many, many years ago, and she gives good examples, so I'm going to use it. So there are the 10 non-virtuous actions. Buddha would say, we want to avoid or recommend avoid doing these, okay? And you can't begin to benefit others until you can benefit yourself. So this is something you must practice, okay? In the first two, the three of the body and the four of the speech have to do with body and speech. And as Robina would say, what did she say? She said something about keeping your hands tied and keeping your lips zipped. Just think about it for a while. When we are with somebody, you want to be careful of what you say and what your body actions are, not harm somebody. But when you're by yourself, you want to watch your mind. Okay, so this is a way you can manage yourself a little bit. Just can you imagine if only the first two, the body and speech, if you were virtuous, you not only benefit yourself, but you benefit others. If you don't kill somebody, not only you benefit, but they benefit. You stop lying or stealing, they benefit and you benefit. How wonderful the world would be, right? So mind is something we manage. And some examples. For example, she says, killing can cause you get killed in your life, or your life is short, you get sick easily and have little energy, results. Okay, and some environmental impact on you would be like the food, drink, medicine, crops, and are scarce, always scarce because of that action. Stealing, you don't have enough to live, for example, or you can't make your ends meet. And you live in a common property and you share things and you never get ahead. So stealing would result into something like that. Sexual misconduct, the people who work around you are unreliable. You find yourself having a lot of competition to find, for your partner. Your relationships they don't last. So those are some results. Lying, no one believes what you say. And have you seen sometimes you are in a meeting sometimes and you have an idea, you say it, but it doesn't really resonate. But somebody else says the same thing and says, oh, what a great idea. And you feel like, I just said that. Nobody listens to you. That kind of thing. So all I'm trying to say is all of these non-virtuous actions have some results. And so our job is to make sure we're converting to the positive states of mind. Let's make sure I get everything. Good. Let's move on. So let's talk about how karma ripens. It ripens in 4 different ways. Okay. So, for example, the fully ripened result. When a karma ripens, it says if you sow the seed, you'll get the fruit. Right? So, which type of rebirth or our consciousness will take leaves a precious, when it leaves this precious body at the time of the death. So remember I was telling you, at the end of the death, your identification is what you have in your mind. If you're craving what will happen to my house and what will happen to my car and what will happen to my family, that's the clinging you will live on, guess what? You will take a birth to then fulfill that clinging. But if you have a positive state of mind, calm state of mind, no fear, and virtuous state of mind, guess what? You're going to find your next life in that kind of state of mind. So, fully ripened result. So they say past virtuous life, human rebirth. The next one is the action similar to the cause. When you sow the seeds, they multiply. So past life is anger, then this life you will have angry mind in this life, right? So think of that for a second. Tendency to be angry, right? You wonder, some people are just grumpy, period. Can't make them happy, can't make them smile. They have been carrying this seed all their life. And then when you are angry, look at the compounding impact it has on people. You know, Geshe always say, how much does it cost to have a positive outlook or smile on your face? It makes the other person smile. If you walk around angry, then nobody likes you. Simple as that. He says that many times, by the way. The experience similar to the cause. Okay? And the energy actually expands. You know, I sometimes think of it, and this is, again, Hemant's example. This is not anywhere. But I think like one seed, a tree grows with multiple fruits. Then they seed and they have multiple fruits. The energy just expands that way. And sometimes I think about one lie you create, and then how many lies do you have to say to protect that lie? So it just keeps going and going and going, right? So in something similar to that. So past kindness and generosity, people will love you, will give you money, positive experiences. And think about environmental karma. Think of the people. You know, you take a birth in a community with earthquakes, famine, dry, calamities, storms, right? So if you've done some harm to something, then you may be born in a certain environment, that's the natural result. So 4 ways it ripens. Fully ripened result, action similar to the cause, the experience similar to the cause, and environmental karma. Okay, so before we go into this example, your mind will go to many places. Remember one thing, in Buddhism, there is no guilt. A guilt is a subtle way of attachment. Look at poor me, I'm depressed, somebody help me, somebody love me. In Buddhism, we say regret. If you did something wrong, you acknowledge it, you make a resolve not to commit. And if you can't do it for a long time, you can say, for 2 hours, I will not lie. For 24 hours, I'll be positive mind, something like that. But remember that when your mind goes to, oh my gosh, I've done such terrible things in my life, believe me, you've also done many positive things. That's why you have a human rebirth. So don't forget that. We sometimes don't give pat on the back that you had a positive lives that has caused you to have a human rebirth. We've always also done many negative things, and we continue to do it. So we need to work on it. And that's the whole point. So 4 conditions to bring a fully ripened result. You must have intention, an engaged mind to do something. You must have an object. Okay, we'll give an example of an ant. Then the action. So you, first of all, there's an ant. You look at the ant. You have an anger. Who the heck are you and why are you here? I don't like you. Bam, you just killed it. Result, death of the ant. So remember one thing, it's the intention of killing. Okay, so it is really your motivation behind it. And there is nothing black and white. So don't take this or that. There are subtleties involved. Okay, and for example, Take another example. Somebody's talking to their daughter or son. They happen to sit in a chair and the ant was there and died. Was there any intention? No intention there to kill. Nothing. We breathe bacteria all the time. Do you walk around thinking I'm going to kill all the bacteria? No. So you have to have an intent and take it as this is not pure, this is a complex topic. There are a lot of questions that will come in your mind, but remember, the next module is spiritual teacher, and the one after that is karma. And you'll have ample time to dig deeper. Some readings are there, and that may answer some of your questions. And I'll throw one more out there. There are examples like, okay, there are 50 people in the boat. There was one person about to take a gun out to kill the 49. Somebody sees that and decides to shoot that person. Was the karma done? Yes, karma was done, but was the intention was to save the 49 or 48. So a milder karma. There are consequences to everything. It's a law. However, see the intention here. Okay, so these kind of questions will come in, and many people will have, I cut the grass, I do this, I do that. Always go in deep of your mind, what is the intention and what is driving that? And if you are purposely looking for something to kill somebody, to hurt something, then you have the wrong intention. Okay, so just keep that in mind as a general rule. Then we have to think about, let me make sure I'm looking at the time here. Okay, yeah. Then there's another thing is habits. You know, we are on an autopilot, aren't we? Spontaneously. You feel a mosquito buzzing around or a little sound, what happens? Our hand automatically goes there, right? Think about that. How? Lately, I haven't been doing that. Even if it comes and it's bugging me, I'll go and flick it like this, or I'll go like this slowly, but I don't kill it. So it again helps to think in that way. They are also semchens, right? Semchen, remember from the last class? Mind possessors. They also have seeds, not like yours maybe, but they have seeds and they have a potential to also become Buddhas. So it's very powerful. It's very spontaneous when you have habits. And we've created these tendencies for a long, long time. So it's very hard to change those. Take an example of fishing. You know, you see sometimes people want to go fish. Now, there are some fishermen that will take a fish and throw it back. We don't see the pain it causes them. We can justify, oh, it's only going in their cartilage and it's going in their this and that. But then you also see a lot of fish line up for that food. It is their karma, right? These kind of things will always go on, but it is your intention. We don't see how we harm our environment, how we harm people, how we harm with our body, speech, and mind, the non-virtuous action. So it keeps us blinded. So the practice is every time you get a chance, and when it occurs, when you think about these things, be mindful. That's all it is to it. Okay. This is what we were talking about. Okay. It's a lot of interdependence, right? There are some things that are thrown by their karma to be dying. But what is here is you are not justifying their karma, you're justifying your karma. What you do is more important. Your intention is more important here. Okay, so that's the main piece, and it is intricate. It is something to think through very clearly. What it's trying to tell you is this innate habit and tendency to do this wrong, non-virtuous actions all the time. And the idea is to change our mind to positive states of mind. That's all it is. And I talked about the karma of the fish here too, right? No, so we know that. So let's go to this part now. So we need to purify our karma. And there's a way to purify our karma. Again, everything in Buddhism stems in your mind. Everything we do. Okay, so think about it for a second. So first thing is we regret, and it's not about guilt. Really refrain from creating more negative actions. If you do something, you now know that this was a negative action of body, speech, and mind. Then you say, what is the result of that? The result is unhappiness in future lives. Even in this life, maybe, you don't know. But in future lives, for example. So I regret. Maybe I won't do it again. And then your mind will still is contemplating that. And then you want to say, not only I regret, but I rely on the Dharma. So you read, you find out, you go to that center, you do meditation, maybe you talk to Geshe-la or some monk or a venerable, or you come to the classes, you're trying to change your mind to positive. You're relying on the Dharma and the teaching. What does Buddha say about that? So you read up. Okay, so reliance. So that's another way. Then the remedy. So you took something by mistake, you return it. You were in a hurry and you said harsh words. Maybe next time you show some patience and maybe you be kind to 2 or 3 people. Right? You can take remedy, is to take action against those non-virtuous things. And again, thinking of not doing it again, you can always do mantras. What is a mantra? As I repeated, mantra means protecting the mind. When you say mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, if you think about the meaning, and it is for Chandra, Buddha of compassion, you think about kindness that Buddha has for everybody, and that's your state of mind you want to create, compassionate mind. So you think about kindness, people suffering. And when you focus on that mantra, you're not thinking of something else now. It's protecting your mind. Your mind is diverted to that state of mind. So when you do mantras, that's what you're doing. Right? So think about that for a second. You can do prostrations, you can do circumambulations, you can do visualizations, you can do meditation. There are many remedies. So very powerful. And then it's a strong determination, though. You may have a very strong determination, employ the use of antidotes, and then only you can change you. And the last thing is a resolve not to do it. Now, we still have habits, we still have tendencies. Will we sometimes resort to doing what is in habit? Yes. However, you can purify it. You can consistently work on it and minimize it, and eventually it will go away. It's not like a press a button and I now have the 4, they call them the 4 R's, the 4 opponent powers, right? And we had a venerable Tendrin-la at Kadampa Center. She used to add a 5th one, rejoice, right? And the fact is, you're able to change your mind from depression, from negative states of mind. You regret something, you move on. You rely on Dharma, you rely on practice, you go and protect your mind, you find a remedy, you do mantras and you're meditating, you will see that your mind goes into the positive state of mind. And then you resolve that for the next 2 days, this is a bad habit I have, I'm going to work on it. It doesn't have to be from now on forever. If you can do it, great, but that would be a little too far-fetched because if we have certain habits. But at least you can work in small numbers. But then you're always making steps forward. Okay? And a slide. So let's take a look at that. Every single moment of our precious human life gives us the opportunity to purify eons of negative karma, take a great step towards enlightenment by engaging in the profound practices of Mahayana path. So think about that. Instead of knowing everything in every book and every mantra, what is more important? Look at the path that has been given to you. Study that. Put it into practice. Integrate it. And there are methods to do meditation. Geshe-la teaches it all the time. And by doing that, even if you gain some level of understanding and you are able to practice it and make a change in your life, then that's what you're doing. You're moving towards enlightenment. Okay. So now, before we go to the meditation, there's one more here. No, I think this is the wrong one. I moved too far. Give me 1 second. Before you do this meditation, I want to say a few things first. This is a little long meditation. We're going to do a purification practice. This is the visualization for those who cannot visualize. This is the emanation of Buddha for purification. It is like a bodhisattva that helps you purify. Again, many of you may not know the mantras. It's a 100-syllable mantra. I'm just going to give you a brief explanation, and you don't have to say the mantra. You can simply visualize and listen to what I'm saying and practice how you can purify yourself. Mantra looks like this. You don't have to worry, but this is in short what it means. I made a copy of it, found the meaning. So basically it's saying, Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya. So it's saying, Om is the quality of Buddha of body, speech, and mind. It stands also for auspicious and highest value. Vajrasattva is the emanation of Buddha, the courageous one who has inseparable transcendental wisdom. Samayam is a pledge that cannot be transgressed. And what you're saying is, please lead me along the path you took to enlightenment, to be closer to my holy mind. Please make me abide. Vido, be firm, stable, because of its relationship to absolute nature. May I, please grant me the ability to realize the nature of this phenomena. Please have the nature of being exceedingly pleased with me. May I be the nature of highly developed great bliss. Please be in the nature of love and lead me to your state. Please grant me all the actual attainments. Please grant me all the virtuous actions and glorious qualities. Please seed the syllable signifying the Vajra holy mind. Do not abandon me, the nature of inseparability, the great courageous one, having the pledge of the holy mind, holy speech, holy bliss. Okay? Om Vajrasattva Om. So in short, I gave you, this is what you are reciting. Help me with my mind, purify my mind, take me to the positive side. I make the pledge to be mindful of this. That is the mantra behind this. Okay, and so this is a little long meditation, so I'm very mindful for time. I want to finish on time. So let's get yourself in the posture of meditation. Keep your back straight. Legs, if you're seated on the cushion, folded like a Vajra position. If not, seated on a chair, put your feet down again. Arms are relaxed. Your right hand is above your left hand. Your thumbs are touching. Head is slightly tilted. Jaw and mouth are relaxed. Tongue is just touching behind the top part of your teeth, behind. Eyes are slightly open, if you can, and relax and scan your body. Take a couple of nice breaths, natural, and start to bring your mind to that natural state, just focusing on the breath for just about a couple of seconds. The actual meditation on the 4 opponent powers. Just engage your mind in the way of thinking. First one, regret. The first one is regret. So think about and identify and say to yourself the various actions and habits you have in this life with your body and speech that harm others. Just recall them. Speak them to yourself. Okay, I've lied. I've did this thing. I've done that. And contemplate the things that you've done with your body and speech. Regardless of your reasons, it doesn't matter. Just like a list in your mind. And now think, I regret doing this. I really do, because, and this is the point now, I don't want future suffering. These have left karmic seeds in my mind, a habit to do this again and again, and this is harming me. I don't want suffering. I'm tired of suffering. I don't want the harm that others do to me, because that's the result of my own past actions. I don't want to continue doing these things because that causes me so much pain and hurt. I don't want more suffering, not to mention lower realms. It's so clear. That's the feeling to get for yourself. This kindness, this strong recognition that I don't want more suffering. So I regret it from the depths of my heart. I regret these things that I've done and said, and all the things I don't remember in this life, and that I've done to harm others. Of course, I regret them. I don't want more suffering. And all the delusions, they are the things that definitely just harm me. I may not say those things, but my own depression, my own fears, my own jealousy, my own paranoia, my own separateness from others, my arrogance, my criticizing others, all the stuff that's floating around in my head, my attachment, my neediness, my anger, my hurt. I regret all these painful states of mind. The second opponent factor, reliance, opponent power, I should say. So we start with the first part of reliance, refuge. This is the first part of reliance. So we rely on refuge. So now, what can I do? Whom can I turn to help remove the seeds from my mind before they ripen in the future as my suffering? So here we are using the Buddha as our doctor. We rely upon Buddha, rely upon his methods, relieved to have these methods that we can just put into practice for our own benefit. So imagine above our head, the Buddha in a particular form. He's like a monk, the classical image of Buddha in monk's robes with the top knot, holding a bow. And he represents the first level of practice, which is subduing the body, speech, and mind. Now we're going to visualize the Buddha in what they call the Bodhisattva aspect of Vajrasattva. If you don't know, the image is on the screen. This is the aspect of for purification practice. You can see he's wearing some very nice silken clothes, like royalty, bracelets, necklace, beautifully decorated. So we imagine the Buddha in this way, on a beautiful lotus. He's sitting the same way we are above our heads. He's got a white light body. Everything is radiant white, sitting on a white lotus. He's sitting in a full lotus position, just imagine it. Everything is made of light. In his left hand, he holds a bell, representing the full development of the wisdom wing. In his right hand, he holds what they call Vajra, which represents the compassion wing. The union of these two represent the complete Buddhahood. Recall the qualities of Buddha: omniscience and omnipotence. Complete wisdom, complete compassion, and power to do whatever needs to be done. So the union of these two represent complete Buddhahood. It is very beautiful face. It's a very beautiful face, sweet, radiant face. His earlobes, necks, arms, and feet are decorated like you see in the painting here. And everything is made of light, radiant white light, infinite compassion. He is an embodiment of compassion and wisdom. And so if you have a spiritual teacher already, and you've committed yourself to someone who you call your Lama, your spiritual teacher, then you can imagine it is actually their mind, their consciousness manifesting as this Buddha for your benefit. It makes it very personal, truly seeing the Guru as a Buddha. And if you don't have a very vivid visualization, don't worry about it. Just imagine it the best that you can. We've got to start somewhere. Feel the presence of the enlightened energy above your crown, full of compassion, full of love, full of wisdom. He only wants you to be happy, like your most precious loving friend. So the second part of reliance is compassion. So now we go to the second part of reliance. The first step was regret, is where we think of compassion for ourselves, but now we think of compassion for others. This is like compassion wing part. So we think of those we've harmed and been unkind to, our parents, our friends, our husband, our wife, our sisters, brothers, our dear friends and strangers. People we didn't like, so many people we said mean words to, we've rejected, we've been unkind to. Think of all of those few we can think of that we've harmed with our body, with our speech. Think like this: I know what it is like to suffer, and I've harmed them. I must change. I must purify this karma so I can only benefit others. Now think the other way. Now think of those who have harmed you. This is much harder. Why would you have compassion for them? Because we think of karma. We know their own harming or others is what will cause them their future suffering. Again, because we think of karma, we know their own harming or others is what will cause their future suffering. For this reason, we have compassion for them. And due to their ignorance, they've done these harmful things, and because they don't have the view of karma either, they don't think they have anything to regret. They hold on to anger, the resentment that will only cause them suffering. So we deeply have compassion for them. We must purify ourselves for their sake too. The third opponent power, the remedy. So now we turn to the third step, remedy. We take the medicine. We do a little visualization and reciting of a mantra. This is the medicine we are taking, the remedy. So just imagine from the heart of Lama Vajrasattva, Guru Vajrasattva above our head. Look at the image if you need to. He sends a very powerful hose of energy that comes from his heart and hooks around. He's sitting above your head, so the energy hooks around and comes under him and comes onto your crown. Imagine this, the powerful nectar like a hose of energy. so strong that it arcs around and comes onto your crown and fills you completely and so strongly, forcing out all the imprints, all of the harm you've ever done with your bodies. This is the first stage of purification. All the harms you've done with your bodies, like stealing and killing and sexual misconduct and all the negative karmic seeds. This forceful, blissful energy coming from Lama Vajrasattva forces it out through all your lower orifices. Just think of like a dirty liquid disappearing into the space until there's none, not even one atom left. It's completely gone. And imagine this strongly, that I really want this. And I'll just say the mantra one time. You can just listen in. And again, you saw the meaning. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Telo Pratishtha Dido Me Bhava, Sutokayo Me Bhava, Supokayo Me Bhava, Anurakto Me Bhava, Sarva Siddhi Me Prayacha, Sarva Karma Suchame, Chittam Shriyam Kurumhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sarva Tathagata, Vajra Mame Muncha, Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva, Ahum Pe. So this time, Guru Vajrasattva very compassionately sends this nectar from his heart chakra, forcefully entering through your crown, this time filling us very powerfully and forcing out through the top parts of your body all the imprints of all and all the harm we've ever done with our speech. All the bad mouthing, the gossip, the harsh speech, all the criticism, the judgments, all the little things that we do that we think aren't so important, but somehow build up and they harm many people. And they destroy our minds. So all of this you imagine being forced out to the top part of your body, pushed up by all this nectar, disappearing like filthy liquid into space, gone. Not one atom left, full of this radiant nectar, filling up, so blissful. All the negative karma of speech are gone. All the negative karma of body are gone. Imagine this, I want this. And for short mantra, we will just say Om Vajrasattva Hum. So now we purify the negative karma of mind. Now imagine the Guru Vajrasattva's heart. He sends very powerful beam of light that enters into your crown, instantly filling us. Instantly dispelling all the negative states of mind, which are the source of our own suffering and the source of harm we do to others. That means the root ignorance, the primordial misconception about self, the ego grasping, the attachment, the anger, the pride, the depression, jealousy, fears, all this we imagine totally full of this, all of these we imagine totally full of this radiant light, dispelling the darkness instantly. As Lama Yeshe says, like turning on the light in the dark room, the darkness is instantly dispelled. Just imagine this. So now for the fourth step, resolve. This is the most important, the one that helps change. Remember, this entire path is about changing one's mind. Positive seeds brings happiness. So we mold our minds into whatever shape we like. So we've taken the vows already, a vow not to kill if you have taken refuge. For those that have taken refuge, they've taken vows not to kill, not to steal. Great. Reiterate those. Then there are others who may have taken bodhisattva vows. Then we make this powerful commitment. I will never break my vows again. Strongly determined, happily determined to not break my commitments. So now we haven't taken these vows. We think, okay, I will never kill again. I will never lie again. I will never steal again. With the intention right, it's amazing we can do this. it's just fine. If not, we give ourselves some timeline. We must be very realistic about this, not just sort of a beating ourselves up, right? You don't want to beat yourself up with it. It's a very practical thing. From 2 to 24 hours, day by day. So let's say we have our old really bad habits, the things that harm others, and the things that, of course, harm ourselves. Internal and external habits of body and speech. We each know ourselves very well. So make a determination, maybe for 24 hours. I will not badmouth for 24 hours. I will not tell a lie for maybe next 5 hours. I will not be angry for a day, a month, a week. Even just take one old habit out with a determination. Give yourself a timeline and a strong commitment. It's very powerful. And it makes our mind very stronger. So just for a few seconds, do your contemplation. One thing you'd like to give yourself a little timeline on, really strong. It's between you and you know it. No one else has to know about it. It's your mind and you are in charge. Think, I will do my best, be honest with myself, know I can change, take them one step at a time, be brave, be courageous, be sincere, make effort to see your mind, see my actions, to know how I can change, step by step, how marvelous. I'm not stuck with who I am. Resolution. So now imagine Lama Vajrasattva so delighted, like a loving friend, like a loving parent, so delighted with us. He dissolves now, you imagine, into a white light. The lotus, the body, everything into white light, radiant light that enters through our crown chakra, just in front of our spine. Enters into us and imagine comes to our heart chakra, where our very subtle consciousness is residing. There it merges with your own mind. Just imagine this, the radiant white energy. The Buddha's mind, Lama's mind, and my mind, same thing. Okay, dedication. So let's finish. Let's finish with a little dedication. Okay, we've listened so far to the concept of continuity of consciousness, to the nature of mind. It's beginningless. It is beginningless, non-physical, not created, its potential, especially of Buddhahood. We've contemplated on the concept of needing a teacher, how to check them, judge them, how to devote oneself. We've looked at very briefly the thought of perfect human rebirth and how to be energized and not waste it. We've then thought about our own life. Life could end at any moment, so thinking about the death process itself. And we've looked at the concept that I could die any moment, given that I've got countless karmic imprints, the potential for future rebirth. We've looked particularly at the one of the suffering of being born in the lower realm, to get a strong sense of wishing for the methods to avoid that type of birth and turning to Buddha for refuge. Then we looked at karma and abiding in the laws of karma. We learned that karma ripens in 4 ways. We looked at the 10 non-virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind, which the intent is to avoid these actions that bring negative results. These seeds have gone in, and we've thought about this. May they ripen as quickly as possible in the development of my own amazing potential, so I really can be benefit to all suffering sentient beings. Okay, quickly, next class will cover the scope 2, the 4 noble truths. Okay, main cause of suffering, 12 rings, something a little bit about emptiness, and an excerpt from wisdom energy, and we'll meditate on renunciation. And before I end the class, I just want you to think about our Lama Zopa Rinpoche's our precious Guru who passed away, and to bring him back as quickly as possible and take rebirth. So may the Rinpoche be reborn as quickly as possible in a place where he's quickly recognized and will be of most benefit to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Hemant. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Heyman. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Heyman.
Thank you, Herman. Thank you, Linda.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks again, Heyman. Thanks, Linda. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Linda.
Night.
Night, night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Night, night. Night, Heen.